diva-ish.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gudenkauf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Killer Author Club. Tonight is so special because we have Killer Heather in the hot seat to talk about her amazing book, The Perfect Host. Will she survive? We don't know. You'll have to stick around to find out. We have so many questions and so much killer fun planned, so buckle up and get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And I'm Killer Heather Gudenkauf.
And before we dive into Heather's fabulous book, a couple of quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available this Friday as a podcast, including bonus content just for listeners. Find the links at killerauthorclub.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter so you're the first to hear about all of our killer breaking news. And now, Kimberly, would you please share all of the glowing accolades for Killer Heather?
I would love to. Heather Gudenkauf is the Edgar Award nominated New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of 11 novels, including The Overnight Guest and her upcoming thriller, The Perfect Hosts. Her debut novel, The Weight of Silence, was an instant New York Times bestseller and remained on the list for 22 weeks. Gudenkauf her critically acclaimed novels have been published in over 25 countries and have sold over 2.5 million copies worldwide. Her books have been featured on many best of roundups, including lists by the New York Times, the Washington Post, NPR, Amazon, Apple Books, Goodreads, and more. Heather lives in Iowa with her family. Welcome, Heather.
Hello.
See you here tonight.
So good to see you. It's so strange being on the other side of this.
Yeah.
It's weird for us too, but you still have to do all the work behind the scenes too. She does the graphics.
So she's the hostess with the mostest.
For sure. All right, Heather, can you give us a quick little, tell us what the book is about?
Sure, yeah. So The Perfect Host, starts out, it should be this like picture perfect gender reveal party. We've got this happy couple, Wes and Madeline Drake, who are getting ready for the birth of their first child. So they live on this gorgeous Wyoming ranch. So they invite 200 of their closest friends to celebrate the gender reveal with all together. And they've got food, they've got champagne, they've got a rodeo going on, they've got a iconic country music star coming to provide the entertainment. But when it's time for the gender reveal, something terrible happens and everything changes and the mystery begins.
Kaboom.
And some of the guests just won't make it to dessert.
I love it. I'm so hooked already. All right, so readers get chatty and drop your questions for Heather in the comments for us to scour during the show. But first, Kara, what are we drinking tonight?
You know, tonight's drink is apropos the big reveal. And I think I might be able to guess why, but Heather, please tell us why you've chosen this as your drink tonight.
Yeah, so I made one. So it's Prosecco and cotton candy in blue and pink. And so I chose it because it is a drink that is served at the gender reveal in the book. And so you just pour it in your wine or your champagne if you want to do that. Add your little garnish. And then apparently if you kind of tip that in there, it will change lovely color.
I love that. That's so cool.
Your review. And then you can go to the dentist afterwards because it's very sugary.
I love it. Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Oh, that's amazing. Like have my baby on.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, I love that.
I'm being thematic. What can I say?
Yeah. Love it.
All right, guys. So we created the Killer Author Club so readers could get up close and personal with their favorite thriller writers. This season's lineup is stacked with killers like Jilly McMillan, John Marr, drumroll please, Lee and Andrew Child, the killer brothers responsible for a big guy you may have heard of, Jack Reacher. For dates, times, past episodes, and our Killer 2026 lineup, which is hot off the presses and newly uploaded, surf over to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about the perfect hosts. Kirkus says, Gudenkauf excels at establishing character and atmosphere, and a sense of dread permeates every scene. Mary Kubika says, Killer Mary, you don't know who to trust or where loyalties lie in the perfect hosts. I loved every minute of this fun, twisty, wild ride. Killer Ashley Winstead says, riveting crimes from the past and present collide in this pickup driving, shotgun slinging, explosive detonating ride. Fans of Yellowstone will love this propulsive thriller, a book you can't put down. So Heather, we already know that you're a twisty and explosive killer, but now we need to know your answer to the question, how do you kill?
Well, I was thinking about this. I think I kill with a little too much glee. I mean, looking back at, so the 11 books in, I was kind of counting the different ways that people have met their demise in my books, and I'm heavy on the firearms.
Yeah.
Had a few accidental falls. There's been some bludgeoning. There's been, some other things as well, and, big explosions. So I think I do it a little bit too happily, and so much so that, and this was for the overnight guest, I had turned in one of my first drafts to Erica, my editor, and I'd gotten a little nervous right before turning it in that there just wasn't enough happening in the book. So then I went in and started killing everybody. And Erica got it, and she's like, "What happened? What is happening?
There's so much bloodshed.
What Beth in here?
Pull it back." So, I sometimes I have to calm myself down and realize that, fictionally speaking, more bodies is not always the best. Too much glee.
That's hilarious. I love that answer.
That's great. Hey, I saw the first question that I saw going through, and I can't find it now, but Joni wanted to know, how did you come up with the idea for a gender reveal party?
Yeah, it's so clever.
Yeah, well, I think number one, I think that's what we've been seeing. If you're on social media at all, there's always these videos and these over the top reveals, like with pyrotechnics and music, and just like some of these reveals look like they cost as much as a wedding would. And so it's really over the top. But then also, as with many of my books, I get my ideas from the news, the headlines. And sadly, and this is very sad, what's supposed to be a very joyous, happy occasion sometimes can be met with tragedy. And so in the news over the last several years, there's been some really sad news stories about gender reveals going wrong, either people getting injured or killed, or like thousands and thousands of acres of property burning down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Wow.
What's meant to be this really super fun, joyous occasion very quickly goes bad. And I thought that would be really interesting to have that set as the backdrop of the novel, and then throw a little murder in there as well.
I love it. And speaking of those, the clips that you see on social media, you did such a great job, and you're still doing it, I think, with like putting up reposts of some of the crazy videos. I mean, that's kind of brilliant.
Well, I find it really funny, and I don't know if it's like I'm one of those people who laughs in church or something, that you're not places you're not supposed to. But some of them I find so funny, and of course I don't want anybody to get hurt or any damage or anything. But some of them are just absolutely really funny, and if you couldn't laugh, you'd cry, I think. So, yeah, I've kind of enjoyed that.
And how did you come up with the theme for this gender reveal party? Because a lot of gender reveals have all kinds of different themes. So you picked pistols and pearls. So we all have our pearls on tonight in honor.
Pearls on tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, I just, I wanted do something that was, it's really absurd when you think about it. Pistols and pearls for anything involving children, pistols. It's just silly. But I kind of wanted to I guess make fun of, how seriously sometimes people take these reveals. Like you see some of the videos of someone being a little disappointed and in whatever gender is revealed. And I think that's so sad. I think most people just really want a healthy child. But I thought, this is over the top. So what would be more over the top than 200 of your closest friends and half of them are, slinging around their pistol and screaming pistols or pearls, pistols or pearls. And I just thought it'd be kind of a fun way to theme the event.
I thought it was great.
Really smart.
So let's talk about Madeline Drake. She's glamorous, she's gracious, she has everything she could ever want, right? Until the party. So tell us about Madeline and what drew you to her, or why did you decide to make her that kind of character?
Yeah. So for Madeline, she is, at first glance, you think she's perfect. She's got this gorgeous home on this beautiful ranch. She's a champion equestrian rider, and she has this handsome, doting husband and a baby on the way. But as we get to know her, we know that she isn't really quite comfortable with that status in that life, and really is pretty ambivalent about the big spectacle that they're going to put on for this gender reveal. And of course, since all my books have to have some kind of Iowa connection, Madeline is from Iowa, and it's the first real town I've had in a book. So Lone Tree,
Oh.
Iowa, is a real town in Iowa, and it's what the ranch is named after. In the book as well. And I chose that because of, very quick story. My family isn't originally from Iowa. We're from South Dakota. Both sides of my family are from there. But in a really strange kind of way, my dad's grandparents ended up coming to Iowa at some point and were eventually buried in Lone Tree. And we didn't find out about that until many years later. My sister moved to the area. I think it was my dad's great grandparents. Sorry. My sister moved to that area later in life. And my uncle had done some genealogy, and we saw that these family members were buried in this tiny little town really near my family. And so it was a little nod to that, just to get a little bit of the family history in there.
So all your other books that are set in Iowa have like made up towns?
The main locations are made up towns, yes. And there I do reference real towns, but for the most part, they're all made up. And I did that purposely because I think whenever you write about a real place, you have to be so very careful.
Oh, I
And
know.
you guys know.
Yeah.
And so, to kind of keep my plots moving and not worrying so much about the logistics. And it's fun to create towns. It's fun to name them. And they're often based on real places. So I think people who know the areas will say, oh, that's really this town or that town.
Great.
Mm.
Okay, so let's talk about the perfect husband, Wes. Without giving too much away, so you can't really say too much, but what do you think readers will find most surprising about his role in this perfect marriage that they have?
Well, I think, with thrillers and mysteries and the title, The Perfect Host, it's going to be the opposite, the opposite of that. So,
Yeah.
they really put on a good front, but I think as as the story moves along, you'll realize that everybody in the book has secrets, some deeper and darker than others. And Wes is absolutely no exception to that. And you also learn as you read, and I won't give too much away, but one of the other main characters, Jamie Saldano, who is the ATF agent who comes to investigate this explosion, has this secret history with Lone Tree as well, in the community. And he and Wes have a past. Their paths intersected years ago
Mhm.
as well, and now they connect again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
such a great, part of the story.
Yeah. Agreed.
Very,
Agreed.
yes.
Let's also talk about the sister, Lucy, Madeline's sister, right? So I know you have sisters. Did
Mhm.
you and these sisters share, a history, but in a way that they don't see the same, or they think differently about something that happened in their past. Um, like how did you approach that relationship with
Yeah.
between those two?
Well, I'm really lucky. My siblings are great. I have 5 brothers and sisters and 2, talking about sisters, I have 2 sisters I'm very, very close to, and thankfully, our relationship is nothing like, Madeline and Lucy's relationship. But I do think no matter what family you're from and, people look at things in their histories much differently. Like I can be with my brothers and sisters, and there's 10 years between me and my oldest brother.
Mhm.
And we grew up in the same family, but in very different families because,
Right.
locations, circumstances, whatever have been different. And it's so much fun to compare notes,
Mm.
and what we remember and how we viewed things. I don't think it's that joyous for Madeline and Lucy because they for various reasons their upbringing was a little bit more challenging, and there's a lot of jealousy there, and they have a lot of issues to work through.
I loved Lucy, though. I thought she was
Mhm.
really good,
She's
and,
fun.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
she
she's
was a
great.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that, like, dark cloud that comes comes to the ranch. "Oh, no, it's her." Yeah, it's
She
great.
was also sassy. I just thought
Yeah,
she was
Mhm.
great.
yeah,
Yeah,
really
she's
great.
a lot of fun.
Okay, so have you been to a ranch like this? Like, the setting, is that taken from someplace, or did you just imagine it?
Not at that level. I mean, this is, obviously a very luxurious, location, but just about every year, my husband and I travel out west, for a little vacation, and, typically we go to South Dakota, or we've been to Wyoming, and most recently we went to Montana. And, one of my favorite things to do is to ride horses when we're out
Mhm.
there. So the last few times we've gone, not this past time, but the last 2, um, we went to this particular horse ranch where I was able to ride with a wrangler. They call them wranglers, and they were so great. I told them I was writing a book, and, this particular wrangler was so helpful in giving me all kinds of insights and how to take care of horses, what life is like on the ranch, medical issues with horses, and just the whole
Mm.
backstory with owning horses and what it all entails. And she was kind enough to give me her email so I could bug her with more questions. So it was incredibly informative, and I like to think that in a past life, I was a cowgirl. I mean, I'm definitely not now, but there's something really special about horses. They're just very soulful animals. And if I could, I would own them and ride them every day if I could.
Mm. I love
Oh,
that.
wow, so that's so great you got to be with them in your story then, as you were
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
it.
Some of the horses in the book are named after the horses that I got to ride.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if we can't ride horses or kill people in real life, we can do it on the page,
That's
right?
what reading is for, so we can escape the world, right?
Right.
Okay, so I know, and I'm sure everybody watching knows too, that you kind of are a hybrid plotter, pantser person. But how did you do that with this book? Because you had a lot of characters to keep track of.
Yeah.
How did you manage keeping track of everything? And did you plot this one out, or did you wing it,
Well,
or both?
this was I think the first book I think I fully plotted, and that doesn't mean that everything stayed the same because it did not, but but for the most part, like the characters and the general plot line did stay the same. And you know, I learned from the best, Kimberly. You were a great resource in my world of learning how to become a plotter, and it was really helpful. So, you know, like the spreadsheet, um, and then you know, just keeping track of the different characters and where they're at in the story, and going back and referencing it. It is really helpful. And I've said this before. I think the best part of plotting for me is that because life
Mhm.
happens, and sometimes we have to step away from our projects, and having a an outline helps acclimate me back into the story again a little bit
Yeah.
more quickly, and you
Yeah.
can, like, find your footing, and, it's incredibly helpful.
Yeah. Good. Yay.
That doesn't mean I do go off the rails, I still go off the rails, but I
Yeah.
promise in the middle of writing it, I don't just kill everybody. I try and stay on the path.
Stay on your spreadsheet path.
Yes, yes.
Shameless plotter plug. You know, there's still fun on the pantsing side, everybody. I
There
know.
is.
Thank you, Tori or Kara. I know, I agree. It's like, oh man. Anyway, okay. Um, the title, The Perfect
Mhm.
Host, is such a
Yeah.
great title. Did you come up with it? Did somebody else come up with it? And I mean, the double meaning and everything. Did you like it as soon as you heard it? If you didn't come up with it,
Yeah, I never, ever, I don't think I've ever had a book where my title has stuck. I don't think so, at least not the first one. And so this is all my brilliant editor Erica's idea, and it was initially called The Big Reveal,
oh,
which is the name of my cocktail.
right.
Um, but the perfect host is perfect because, you know, as we mentioned with thrillers, nothing is as it seems. And so when we hear the perfect host, we know they're going to be
Not so
nothing like
perfect.
being perfect.
Not
Yeah.
perfect.
And just on so many different levels. What does that mean? Um, and who they are and the secrets that they hold. But no, I'm
Yeah.
a terrible title picker.
Me too. It's like I can write 90,000 words, but a title, just
I
forget it.
know.
That's
It's
because it's
bad.
not on your spreadsheet, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Just saying. Okay, guys, it is time for the killer giveaway. Okay, Heather is giving away 4 copies of The Perfect Host to lucky US viewers. It doesn't matter whether you're watching, where you're watching. We scour all of the comments everywhere we stream, but please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this question. We're doing a little twist on the whole thing. Okay, so tonight we have this is from my baby shower this weekend. And so these are goldfish in here, you guys, inside the baby bottle. So to win a copy of Heather's book, you have to guess how many goldfish are in the baby bottle. So I'm giving you a little bit of help. A, 252, B, 800, C, 953, or D, 1,216. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck. Let me tell you, it took me 3 tries to get the right answer.
I am so bad at that
I know.
estimating
I
thing.
love
I'm
it.
so bad. Good
And
luck.
just so you know, there's a baby goldfish and full size goldfish, so it's kind of
Yeah,
throwing people off. So, okay.
It's a
All
trick.
right.
It's a trick. All right, good luck, guys. The Killers are big fans of independent booksellers, and we want to send them all the support in the world. Heather has chosen 2 stores to highlight tonight. River Lights Bookstore in Dubuque. Is that how
Mhm.
I say it,
Yeah,
Heather?
yes,
And Swamp Fox Bookstore in Marion, Iowa. So, Heather, will you tell us why you love these bookstores so?
yes. So I adore these 2 bookstores. So River Lights in Dubuque, that was my hometown indie for 26 years. It's where we raised our family. And when I was a classroom teacher way back in the day, my students would create their own books, like we'd bind them, and we wanted to do a really fun celebration. So River Lights was kind enough to host my students, and they would display their books, and they had like an author, like a book reception for my students. And this was well before I even started writing. And lo and behold, a few years later, then they were hosting me. So they're the best, and I'm going to be there next Monday. I always do my first event with River Lights, so hopefully people can come out and say hi. And then I also Swamp Fox, which is now my current hometown indie. And we all know Terry. She's been, a great support to the Killer Author Club as well. And it's just a great spot, great people, and I'm really lucky to live in Iowa, and I could name shop after shop. We are so fortunate in the state of Iowa to have so many great active indie bookstores that are so important to our communities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Well, I just dropped the link to both of those bookstores in the comments so you can order The Perfect Host along with any other books on your list.
Yay. And obviously, the killers love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading on our Facebook group. Post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours tonight. Heather, we would like to know, what are you currently reading?
So of course, I have two. So my first one is kind of a Halloween read. It's called A Haunted History of Invisible Women. And it's by Leanna Renee Heber and Andrea Janes. And they're ghost tour hosts. Like they run ghost tours.
Love
And
that.
but what's interesting, what's different about this one, all the ghost stories are about women. And then they tell the ghost story, but they also frame it historically in how women are treated throughout history, and what an important role in ghost stories women have, historically, culturally. And one thing I learned in the golden age of ghost stories, like it was like 1840 to 1920, something like that. Um, a large percent of the authors of ghost stories were women, like 70%
Wow.
during that time. So it's a really interesting, informative read, and also creepy.
Yes.
Creepy.
Perfect for the
then,
season.
My second one, I have to give this one a plug because I loved it so much. Samantha Downing's Too Old for This. This is one of my favorite books of the year. It's about an octogenarian serial killer who comes out of retirement because somebody knocks on her door and was kind of onto her. And so she has to go tidy things up. Really fun read. I love everything Samantha writes. So if you get a chance to read either of these, you should.
She's
Yeah.
so good.
I know that book is the best. It just makes me smile because it's such a great premise.
So witty. It's like dark.
It makes you smile, even though it's about a serial killer. It's really, really amusing. Okay, so speaking of amazing reads, we have a Killer alumni to celebrate tonight. Killer Vanessa Lilly has a new Sid Walker novel out today, and we're all very excited for her. When a native teenager vanishes from her small town, a place with dark ties to an elite historical society, archaeologist Sid Walker is called to investigate. We'll drop the link into the comments, and Vanessa is giving away one copy, signed and personalized, to a lucky US viewer. So let us know if you're interested in winning that book too.
Yes, and we have two more fabulous releases we want to celebrate tonight. First, The Burial Place by Stig Abel. Former London detective Jack Jackson finds his new life in the country threatened when an old case from the past buried deep within an archaeological dig site resurfaces. And we also have What a Way to Go by Bella Mackey, an uproarious and satirical whodunit about people behaving badly. Love that. And perhaps finally getting their just desserts. Stig is giving away 3 copies of The Burial Place, and Bella is giving away one of What a Way to Go to US viewers. Comment if you want in and tell us where you're from. Good luck. And because we're all about shamelessly plugging our own murdery fun, don't miss the Killer's latest reads. Kara's got We Were Never Friends coming up early next year, a sorority reunion that takes a very, very dark turn. Pre-order now before the party gets started, and she will send you freebies.
I will, whatever it takes. Okay, speaking of deadly parties, Heather's serving up, as we know, the perfect host, an over-the-top gender reveal party that explodes in more ways than one, out next Tuesday.
And Kimberly is taking you on a deadly European getaway in the expat affair. And 2 Americans, the glittering diamond trade in danger in Amsterdam.
Yay. All right. And if you hang out on Facebook, come join our secret lair, the private members-only Killer Author Club. Every episode, we draw a name from the hat for some killer swag, t-shirts, mugs, candles, you name it. Jump in, join the fun, and peek at all the goods over at killerauthorclub.com. Tonight's winner is Elida Leiterbach. I should have looked that up before I said it. Congrats, and please send one of us killers your address and we will send some swag your way. And if you want to be the next winner, be sure to join us and follow the link in the comments. Also, a big killer thanks to Book Reporter for sharing the murdery love and promoting our episodes. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
That's right, Heather. You survived. Excellent
Yay.
news.
I'm so glad. I'm
It
so
wasn't
glad
too
I
long.
live to do another show again.
That's right. We need you back in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
we need to be
tell
back
us,
on the other side.
tell us where our listeners and viewers can find you.
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, sometimes on TikTok, and you can find me at heathergudenkauf.com.
Love it.
Yay. Or at Killer Author Club every other Tuesday.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back in 2 weeks on November 11th with, are you ready for this? Lee and Andrew Child, the authors of the Jack Reacher series. They'll be talking all about Jack and their latest called Exit Strategy. Until then, you can catch us wasting too much time on social media and on our YouTube channel. And hopefully you're subscribing there because we really want everybody to be over on YouTube because it's a great channel to work with. So anyway, okay, for the full schedule, past episodes, recipes, and merch, head to killerauthorclub.com. Thank you for being part of the club. Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.